that came live or replayed us last night for the Angry Bitch Club. The Angry Bees were buzzing around. We had an amazing guest, Dr. Carol Ann Peterson, who shared some really interesting facts with us and interesting stories she told about her involvement with supporting and advocating for victims of domestic violence and survivors and their families. So if you get a chance, check us out on replay from last night. But welcome tonight. Happy to have you. I'm Catherine Felton Page. I am your host tonight. I am Social Change Warriors and have been for the past 5 years. Mostly we were catering to social work and education platforms and a little bit of police. I was still involved a little bit with some police trainings, but decided to give live streaming a try. I was inspired by several court cases that I've been following and recognizing and seeing corruption at its finest, if you can call it that. But when they're good at it, it's unbelievably good. So people that love to be involved in corruption and commit crimes, most of the time they're quite good at it. And it's fascinating when you get to see it. But if you're a social justice warrior, a social change warrior, if you're all about justice and against crime, it kind of jazzes you up a little bit, which is what happened to me with some of these cases. So I thought, I'm going to throw my hat into live streaming and put my opinions out there. So that's how Social Change Warriors live streaming was born back in August. And we have 2 nights that we stream. We stream Wednesday nights, which is all about women issues, women empowerment, women who have been convicted wrongly of crimes, who are in jail and we're trying to help them get out, or women who are currently in a trial and we don't believe they should be, and women of domestic violence, survivors and victims of domestic violence murder. And we will cover a lot of other topics. I've been given so many suggestions by ladies. We're going to cover ugly date nights. We're going to cover relationships. We're going to cover high heels and why they're so bad for us. We have a lot of topics coming up on Wednesday for the Angry Bitch Club. So I hope you'll show up and buzz around with us on Wednesdays because we'd love to have you. Thursdays, where our topics are pretty much sticking to corruption in police and corruption in government. But because we are in an election year right now, and we are only, I think, 12 days from the election, I decided to go rogue a little bit and tell you guys a little bit about my political leanings and what I believe is good and bad for our country, my opinion only. And I have some guests tonight that are joining me, and I'll introduce them in a minute. But I decided to do that. So I've taken a heat for it. I've lost a few subscribers over it the last few days, especially some that were following me when I was covering the Karen Reed trial in August. So I just want to say to you, my channel is bipartisan. Everyone is welcome. There is no victim that I care what their political affiliation is. I could care less what party someone who's been murdered was in, and I could care even more or less the perpetrator or the corrupt individuals that we're after. There is no politics in corruption. They all have corruption. There's weaving in and out. So we're not gonna ever care about that. But I wanted to talk about a little bit about politics because I don't put my head in the sand. I'm a transparent individual. I've always told people my political leanings. I'm happy to debate you. I'm happy to hear you out. If it's respectful, I will debate you respectfully. I will tell you why I feel the way I feel. But we will go back to our good old corruption and crime in the streets as we see it next Thursday, because I have uncovered a few more corrupt cases in America, and we're going to have a guest next Thursday who is going to tell us about the new corruption that he helped uncover in Indiana. So I hope all of you that unsubscribe to me will maybe watch this show with an open mind, because that's how we have to be in America. We have the right to vote. We have the right to an opinion. We do not live in a country where we get jailed or murdered or poisoned because of how we feel about our politics or our government or our ideology of policy, spending money, big government, little government, money for the poor, money for programs. lowering taxes, raising taxes, you name it, right? Well, we don't go to jail for that. We have an opinion, we get to say it, we get to speak it, we have First Amendment rights. So I hope you'll rejoin our channel, because we're going to have some pretty amazing topics going forward on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and we will very likely never talk about politics unless I feel like it. And since it's my channel, I can. So it's America, right? So tonight, well, first of all, I wanted to show you I'm in Madison again with my family. I go back and forth, as you all know, from Florida to Madison constantly. And our fall here right now is beautiful. The trees are at their peak. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love my home state of Wisconsin. If you've never been here, please visit, check out the Wisconsin tourism, because it's really beautiful. So Amber Kay is back with us tonight. She was not feeling very well last night. So welcome back, Amber. I'm going to let her introduce herself here in a minute. And we also have a special guest tonight, a digital warrior who has spent an extremely amazing amount of time going over the 900 pages of Project 2025. And he is going to help us understand it. I will give you my opinion on it. He will give you his opinion on it. Amber will give you her opinion on it. And then you get to take it from there. And you can decide if you like any of it, if you think it's all a bunch of crap, or if you love all of it. And that's your right? As an American citizen, that is your right to love whatever your party believes in, or to not always agree with them, to have some disagreements with your party and their ideology, and your different platforms that you follow. So I'm going to let them both introduce themselves here in just a minute. But I want to remind you that we're closing out Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're closing out the Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we're also closing out the Awareness Month, thanks to Amber, because I did not know about this, where we were honoring babies that were never born, that were miscarried in the womb, and the grief the following grief for the families. So we were honoring those amazing causes this week in our Wednesday night live streams. And we will continue to honor domestic violence victims and survivors, because that is part of my platform for Wednesday nights, as well as a lot of other topics, like I said. But if you have the extra money and you want to donate to these causes, even if it's $1, please consider doing that. It's very worthy, all of the causes that we were highlighting in the month of October. And we'll be back with them again next October. So I also wanted to remind you that there were a lot of hurricanes this year in my half home state of Florida. I live in the Daytona Beach area, which is Volusia County. We had a lot of damage in my own neighborhood. Luckily, no one was hurt or killed, but many people lost their lives in North Carolina, as you know, via the news. So there are still people missing. There is much heartbreak there. There were also many deaths. There were, I think, 10 deaths in Florida. I don't recall how many in South Carolina or Georgia, but it's been a horrific hurricane season. So I wanted everybody to be mindful of that. Say, if you have a faith, or if you're spiritual, say prayers for all the people that lost loved ones. I saw some of the most terrifying video I've ever seen out of a hurricane, to be honest with you, because you do not expect a hurricane to travel all the way through Florida and into the North Carolina mountains and surprise people like that. And I saw people clinging on rooftops, their houses going down a river, just terrifying. So, let's keep them all in our thoughts, and let's remember, because it's what we're talking about tonight. Project 2025 wants to completely eliminate the National Hurricane Center. So as you can tell by my tone of my voice, I do not agree with that. So I've seen way too much hurricane damage. I've been a visitor of Florida since I was 18. I've lived in Florida for almost 15 years, either full-time or part-time like I do now. So I'm completely against anything to do with removing science, because I am a science girl and I love scientists. They're brilliant. We need them. So we're going to chat about that in just a little bit when I wrap up my little opening here. I wanted to read you this quote. And so I'm just going to turn off my camera here for a second so I can get close, because I don't use glasses to read. I only use them for distance. But this quote is interesting to me, and it has to do with someone I follow on Twitter X, Journalism 101 Rule. I'm going to try to pull it up bigger here so I can see it, and I have to figure out, now I have to get rid of my banner because it's blocking me. Figure this out, because I'd like to read it to you, and I don't know it by heart. No, I don't want that. Let's see. I'm still new at all this, guys. This is my my new thing. Learning StreamYard. I did it. I learn a little more every day. I love learning. I will learn till I'm 100. If I make it that far, I will always learn. And I encourage you to pick up a book and learn something new whenever you can. Even if you're busy, try to learn something new as often as possible. It will really make you feel better. Journalism 101 rule. My undergrad's in journalism. I spent some time at a TV station, a radio station, a newspaper, a magazine in my 20s. So I have a lot of journalism experience. Law enforcement didn't come until my 30s, and social work didn't come until my 40s and 50s. So I've had multiple careers over the span decades of my life. And if someone says it's raining and another person says it's dry, it's not your job to quote them both. Your job is to look out of the, pardon the French, fucking window and find out which is true now more than ever. And I cannot tell you enough how huge this is. I don't care if you're a dyed-in-the-wool Republican or you're a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. I don't care. This is it, guys. We are a town, the United States of America. Think of us as a town. And we have to come to the town hall and we have to get along. And we have to elect our leader. Whether we like them or not, at the end of the day, they become our leader and we must respect them. We don't have to like them, and especially if they do not put into place what policies we want them to, but then we wait 4 years and we go out and we do whatever we have to do to get the vote out. Because if you just stay at home and complain, oh, I don't like President Biden, he did this, he did that, oh, when President Trump was in, then you're the part of the problem. You cannot be part of the problem. You have to be the solution. And to be the solution, you have to figure this out. You can't just constantly believe everything you hear and everything that's written on social media, especially social media. So please just remember the point of this slide is for both parties. It's for independents, Green Party. There's a lot of parties out there that we don't even get to hear about because they don't have enough followers to make it into the debates. But more open-minded we can be going forward in life. And I hope that for you. If you're in your 20s and 30s, I won't be here someday. I hope that we have come full circle and that we can be more open-minded, talk things out, but we have to weed out the ridiculous, okay? No matter how much you like a candidate, you have to weed out the ridiculous. You can't just be so into that candidate that you are going to allow absolute pandemonium going on. And we've had a lot of that in this election cycle, especially this year. Before we get into our 2025 meet, I just want to honor our former president, Jimmy Carter. He was someone that I've always been just in awe of. The service that he has given to our country is unmeasurable. He turned 100 years old last week and he voted. And what an amazing life that he led, and what an amazing life his wife Rosalind led. They were extremely amazing people. They were ethical. They had values. Everyone hope to be like them. Whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, if you were to come on my channel and say one negative thing about President Carter and Rosalind, I really don't want to talk to you, because you have to put politics aside and recognize good humans. Whether they're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent or a Green Party or whatever party, when they're good humans, they're good humans. Set your politics aside and recognize somebody that gave to this country for his entire life. And that's what President Jimmy Carter did. So very happy I could honor him tonight. He was an amazing human being. So a couple slides just to put up here. It's getting ugly. We're 12 days out. These are just examples of all the different slides that are out there right now. All the different social media. That prior slide was slamming candidate Trump. These two slides are slamming candidate Kamala Harris. So it's all over the place out there right now. People are losing their minds because it's going down to the wire. So we've got,
hey, Kat.
Yeah.
Why is it every political ad that you see is attacking the other party, but in a way that's kind of below the belt? Like, that drives me absolutely bonkers, where I'm like, just stand on your values and what you have to offer. Stop just attacking the other side.
Right.
I just wish that the ads, both sides, did that a little bit more.
Well, my sweet, you are younger than me. This has been going on since the dawn of time. You see an ad it's probably a lie. Whether it's the Democrats
Yes.
or the Republicans, there's some form of a lie weaved into the ad, no matter which party is presenting it, because they are trying to go after the I'm not going to say uneducated book wise. Okay, so don't take me wrong, audience. I'm saying uneducated race, the political race and the policies. A lot of people don't take the time to read about the policies, what the candidate actually stands for, what they're actually going to do, what they have done in past office, and if they've had past office. They just don't have the time. I mean, people are working 50, 60 hours a week to make it right now. So a lot of people just vote on one issue only, or they only vote based on whatever news media they watch, Amber. So let's bring a digital warrior up. I would love for him to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his background and how he got into checking out and into Project 2025.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the introduction. I sort of got involved in this because I saw the state of our country and I just was terrified of it. And then when I started digging deeper into Project 2025, I realized that Republicans, the conservatives, were really trying to checkmate our democracy, is how I look at it. The kind of policies and things they have introduced or plan to introduce in there would essentially dismantle what they call the administrative state. And as I got deeper and deeper in it, I realized that this is something they've been working on for a long time. So I said, I got to dig into it, and we've got to find a way to communicate what's inside of it in a relatable way to people. Because if you tell people it's going to end the world, most of them will say, "Ah, yeah, I've heard that before." So I've been working more recently on taking the hard truths out of Project 2025 and to break them down with sample families. For example, like a friend of mine is a Trump supporter, and I put together a design of his family, if you will, and said, well, if this happens and Project 2025 happens, this is how it will affect your family, that these benefits that you're currently getting. Huh? I'm sorry.
Guys,
Keep
for
going,
some
digital
reason,
warrior.
yeah, it's
Okay.
okay. We're getting some feedback. My friend just called, my sister. So I think we should all mute while you're talking, Digital Warrior. I think that will help a lot. And then if you can mute when Amber or I are talking, that will help. For some reason, we're just getting that tonight. And that can happen with different feeds. I'm on my sister's Wi-Fi and she's got a Wi-Fi TV out there going. So it's hard to say where it's coming from, but I'm going to mute, and Amber, you mute. And then I think I'll have my friend Kathy text me and let me know if we're getting, and in chat box, please let us know if you're hearing feedback. And by the way, thank you to everybody who's here tonight in the chat live. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody who's going to watch on replay. So Digital Warrior, please continue. I'm going to
I will go ahead and wrap up. Hopefully there's not any echoing right now. And I'll let you tell me if there is. But essentially, I wanted to put together a example for him to see how it would affect his family, because he's got a child with disabilities and that would be affected. He's got I believe a legal immigrant wife, but I don't know if she is, but they're not really going to be selective. They're not going to be super concerned about who they deport. So I just try to put together a example so he can, of course, he didn't believe any of it, but it was probably one of my best received tweet threads. So then I started doing other family examples of that, and it was sort of like letting people see how it's going to affect them became very useful. So that's how I got involved, and that's why I got involved in it. So how I help people with that is really what I'm all about.
Thank you. That's fantastic, and I love that, and I can't wait to hear more from you. And I get frustrated though, because I too have friends that have voted Republican their whole life. I have friends that are independents. I have friends that are leaning Green Party nowadays, and friends that don't want to be in any party. So I just love having good debate. I love listening. I love being listened to. But when people just shut you down and they won't even consider your take on it, we have a problem, right? It's Houston. We have a problem to failure to communicate, because there can't just be one side, guys. That's just not possible. There's always going to be two sides. Now, Crime, murder, yeah, there's one side. Okay, when I cover crime and corruption and pedophiles, pedophile police officers like I'm covering on Thursday nights going after teenage girls, there's just one side to that. There's right, there's wrong, there's ethics. But in politics, it's very muddy. There's lots going on with these policies and what is good for our country and how we can come together and try to get along. So thank you. I appreciate that you're trying to point out to your friends that this is what you see. You've tried to look into Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation and give. That's what we're doing here tonight. We're not judging anyone. We're not calling anyone out for voting for former President Trump or for voting for Kamala Harris. We're just, vote your conscience, vote your values. I will vote mine, you will vote yours, and maybe we won't agree. But some things are black and white. And there are things with former President Trump for me that are black and white. And I try to let my friends and family know that that's why I see it that way. And some things just can't be debated. And I'm sure you can come back at me if you do not like the Vice President, Kamala Harris, with things that you feel are black and white about her. And I'm happy to listen. So I'm just going to do the slideshow here for a minute. Chat, how are we doing with feedback? And thank you to my friend Kathy for letting us know that was happening. Sometimes we do have to mute when we're not speaking. So this was a meme that came up that, vote for me. What have you got to lose? Well, you have to lose a lot if we are to believe that the Heritage Foundation wants to end all the programs that they are actually telling us in their 900-page document that they want to end. So guys, when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them, right? So I have no reason not to believe the founders of the Heritage Foundation and those that wrote Project 2025, all 900 pages of it, that they don't mean it and that they don't want the new president, whether it be Trump in this 4-year run or whatever candidate ends up winning an election in the future, to put these Project 2025 ideas into law. And most of them I personally do not agree with. So let me bring up a few more points, and then I want to hear from Amber and Digital Warrior. So there's just been, again, a lot in the media. We're seeing a lot, again, about January 6th and who was involved and which political figures were involved in that. There's been, lots of speculation as to who was involved. And then there's also just point blank evidence of who was involved. So I don't think anybody is okay with what happened on January 6th. If you're okay with that, I think we have a problem in America, because that is not how America is supposed to behave and how they're supposed to act. We do not handle our differences with violence, with storming our Capitol and breaking windows and terrifying our current senators and congressmen, whether you liked them or not, or you voted for them or not. I don't like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't like a thing she says. Do I want her to get injured in the Capitol on January 6th? Absolutely not. Nobody should ever be in a position like that who is willing to run for office, serve our country, whether I agree with her policies or not, or any of the other Republican senators and congressmen. I don't want them injured. So nobody should be okay with what happened on January 6th, not one single American. I have a couple things I'm going to share on my Twitter. That's why they're in this deck. This is a really interesting storyline of the events of January 6th. So I'm going to put that on my Twitter page for you if you're interested in looking at it. So the Heritage Foundation is a think tank, and they have been around since 1973. What is your knowledge, Digital Warrior? What did you know about the Heritage Foundation before Project 2025 was published last year?
Sorry, I was on mute. I didn't really know much about Heritage at first. I was really paying more attention to the Koch network, because they seemed to be the ones that were so involved in all the nefarious things that were going on. And it wasn't until Heritage stepped up with the Project 2025, they did it boldly. They're like, hey, we're so confident that we're going to do this, that we're going to print this 920-page document about how we're going to destroy democracy. And I thought that was pretty bold of those guys to do. That meant they felt pretty confident they were going to get it done. So I didn't know a lot about them, but after this point, I realized that they're almost all related to each other. They all use the same staff. They all use the same people. So this person might be at Heritage. He might be at ALEC. He might be at this organization or that organization. it's all a relatively one effort, a right-wing effort, and Heritage is just one of them. Because they also have the America First Institute with Stephen Miller, which is like a competing one to the Heritage Project 2025. It's not as talked about, but it's essentially the same thing as the America First, whatever they call their plan. All these little places are all trying to screw us at the same time.
Right. They want everybody to convert to this very Christian. I'm not against Christians, please. I am a Christian, so don't go off on me there. I don't want to open my Twitter tonight and have everybody telling me I'm not a Christian. I'm a Christian. I was born and raised in the Lutheran Church. I spent years in church. I still go to church. I am against anybody trying to take away my rights and to completely expect the entire country to agree with one ideology, which is very, very conservative and is going to walk women's rights back. And we're going to get to that in about 10 minutes. Way, way too far. If you're a woman right now in America and you're okay with the Heritage Foundation, please do some reading. I know it's going to take you a while, but read the 900 pages. Don't talk to me about it being okay for women if you haven't read the 900 pages and how many times women's rights are axed in this 900-page document. So that's what I'm asking of you. And I'm asking Christians. Yes, and I'm coming to you, Amber. Don't worry, you're next.
I have to say something though. Let's, instead of Project 2025, let's do Project Now. And it's very simple. It's very short. It's one page. Live and let live. And the end. That's all.
That's excellent. I mean, that's excellent. But we know in reality that's never going to happen. And I love you, Amber. That is such a wonderful take, and I wish we could all do that. But that will not happen because number one, as you know from my Wednesday and Thursday night shows, we live in a country not just full of nice people. We live in a country where I used to have a bumper sticker on my car in the 90s that said, "Mean people suck." So we have mean people that live amongst us in our neighborhoods, at our churches, and our jobs, in our government. We have criminals amongst us who commit white-collar crime all the time. My mom worked for the Department of Justice for her entire career in Wisconsin, and you would shudder if I was able to tell you, but I can't because it's personal, all the white-collar crime that just went on in our nice, cute little state of Wisconsin, okay? And this is one state. And even now, there's people everywhere committing crimes every day, and they're getting away with them because they're really, really good at them. They're good at committing crimes, and we're never going to get rid of them because there are bad people in the world. They're selfish, they're narcissistic, they only care about themselves, they care about money, only money and possessions, and they care about power. You can't have a narcissist without power because they have to have power, they have to have everybody shining on them. So Amber, I love you. I think you're one of the most positive people I've ever met, but that's never going to happen. And I don't want to break your your vision of this.
I didn't say it wasn't realistic, but wouldn't this be a much better world if that's what we subscribe to?
Oh gosh, yes, it would. It would. But I want to hear from you on this now. And I was just about to ask you because Warrior Amber she's never been shy to tell us in our Wednesday and Thursday streams that she is a Christian, and she has brought in some of her Christian values and ideologies into some of our live streams on Wednesday and Thursday, and I completely appreciate that. So knowing that you are a Christian and that this is a Christian movement, they don't want to call themselves that, but they are. What's your take on that?
I don't see them as true Christians because if they were true Christians, they would just be preaching love and service. That's what it would be all about. It wouldn't be about not helping your neighbor. They're not following the Christian values. So I can't call that Christianity. I can't call that Christian values because those aren't the Christian values. Those aren't the ones I subscribe to. So I'm proud to be a Christian. I'm proud. I love Jesus. I have a great relationship with my Lord and Savior. But that's okay because it doesn't matter what other people think. I still love you. Jesus loves you. God loves you. It doesn't matter. So if it's not rooted in love and service, then it's not Christian.
Thank you, Amber. I really appreciate that you said that. Warrior, I don't know if you're a Christian or spiritual, but what's your take on that?
You're muted.
Uh,
Get mute and
sorry about
unmute is going to be hard.
I'm what you call a prodigal son Christian. I've been away for a while, and but I grew up in the church. Was on the deacons board. I was on a lot of the things in the past, but I sort of walked away from a while, and I have not been back. So I agree with what Amber says, and the reason I haven't been back is because I see this Christian nationalism that is just fake Christianity that is so destructive to their witness, and they don't even recognize that. So it makes me very infuriated. I think they get surprised when they stumble across my account and I see that they are professing to be a Christian. And I always send them this video from James Tallarico where he's a true Christian. If you guys don't know who he is he is a legislator out of Texas, but he's also in seminary. He's also a very, very articulate person. So I send him this little short 3, 4, 5 minute video that calls out Christian nationalism and why it's not of the faith, and it really sort of shuts them up. So every time someone says something like that, I go, well, here's what Jesus said, and talk to the hand. I'm done. I can't argue with you. If you don't see that you're a stumbling block for the unsaved, then I don't know what to tell you. So that's what I think about it. I think it's serious, and it's problematic.
Yes, thank you both. I appreciate it. I mean, being born, being raised in the Lutheran church, attending Lutheran school. My sons attended Lutheran school. I was an every Sunday churchgoer because it brought me joy, and it brought me joy to serve at my church. I was a coach at my kids' school for many years. I was involved in the school, involved in the church, and but I've seen so much in the last 10 years in the churches around our country that is just really bothering me, because like Amber said it very eloquently, unless you're, serving with joy and treating everyone with respect and kindness and understanding what in America, there is a separation of church and state. I'm sorry to tell all you guys that, but there has to be. We can't base our laws on Christianity, because not everyone's a Christian. This is America. We have people from all over the world that come to America, and they have every right to believe in the faith that they believe in. Are you going to argue with me and tell me that if you're Catholic, you think I'm going to hell because I'm a Lutheran? Or if I say to you, you're Catholic, I'm Lutheran, my Bible says you're going to hell. That's absurd. I mean, that's absolutely absurd. We can't all be right? So we have to just believe in what we believe and respect everybody else, their right to believe. Just like we have the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, we have also the right to choose our faith and choose who we believe in and pray to our God that we believe exists. And if you don't feel that way, then how do you claim to be Christian? Because if you think you're the only ones that are right, wow, you obviously haven't learned much about science and the black hole and the universe. Anything to add to that, Amber?
I wanted to say something about science and religion and spirituality. A lot of times people think that they're polar opposites, but they can go hand in hand. You can believe in both, and it does make sense to some degree. You may not have to take every nugget of translated Bibles and that have been touched by human hands that are tainted. My point is that you were talking about loving science, and I remember seeing this car bumper with the sign it said on it was like, I love science, and then there was a Jesus fish. And I was like, yes, my human, like my spirit animal, you get it. They are two things that can be intertwined. I see the Lord as extending his hand and helping people through healers, through people, angels in all around us. So if there's the science that's helping us progress medically, for example, and doing surgeries, that's God's will, because he has given us that strength, that knowledge, and the ability to learn and help each other. So they're not mutually exclusive. They can go hand in hand.
FEMA?
Now you're muted, Kat.
Okay. Warrior, anything before we talk about FEMA?
No.
Good. All right, Warrior, let's get into FEMA because I'm pretty ticked about this. So for those of you that don't understand what FEMA is and why it exists, it is coordinates the federal disaster response and recovery efforts. So let's repeat that. FEMA coordinates the federal disaster response and recovery efforts. This cannot be left to the states. All of you, everything needs to be left to the states, folks. Some things just can't. Okay, we're talking about people's lives here. And if you didn't watch some of that video of the hurricanes and the forest fires in California, where Warrior lives and where I used to live for a while, if you haven't seen the devastation and the loss of life, and you expect the states to handle that, no, that's just not possible. We need a federal government for certain major concerns. That's just my opinion, but it's also a lot of people's opinion. And why the Christian right and Heritage Foundation is getting involved with eliminating FEMA just completely blows my mind. And I'm going to rely on Digital Warrior on this one because he's done so much research. And then Amber, I'll defer to you. So Warrior, tell me about what you've figured out. What is going on with the Heritage and this whole Project 25 with FEMA?
I think that they are, I mean, this is all supposition because they don't always tell you why they're doing it. So you just sort of have to think about their overall objective for things. They like everything going back to the states so they can control that and they can control the people and the resources. They can say no to the people they want to say no to. So if the damage occurs to a Democratic area, they're going to say no. If the damage occurs to a Republican area, they're going to say yes, Republican state. They want to be able to tell California no to its fires. I think a lot of those states get really resentful when California has wildfires, and now the feds have to pay up. I think part of it is related to they like to stick it to the blue states. They like to control who they say no to. It's sort of like similar to what they did with expanded Medicaid. You have expanded Medicaid that everybody got the benefit of it during the pandemic. But as soon as that period was over, Texas ran out immediately and started disqualifying people, kicking people off the rolls. People got kicked off the rolls because they didn't fill out the paperwork on time. They couldn't move fast enough to do that. And that was a decision they made. They wanted to be cruel to get people off because they know a lot of people applied one time, they got confused whether they had to apply again, and they fell between the cracks. And now there's this lapse period. So if I were to speculate, the reason they want FEMA is for some of those kinds of reasons. Now they haven't specifically said it's for that, but that's their modus operandi from what I can see is we want to control who we screw over. We want to control who gets the money. We want to control the money.
I can't say I don't agree with you. That's how I read it. I mean, it's only 2 pages out of the whole 900 and what is it, 22 that they even talk about FEMA, but they do not want, they want to close it down. And I agree with you. I think that's why it's all about power and control. Amber, anything to say or add?
I just want to say that we are the United States of America. So even if a disaster hits California, it's going to have impacts on New York, on the other coast. And so we have to look out for each other. There has to be this federal agency that is helping people when there's disasters because disasters can hit anywhere. So one day it might be Florida, but the next day it might be another state. We have to give it out equally. So that I don't like this idea. I do understand, and people have the right to criticize some of the programs that we currently have. So you can have criticisms of FEMA. So let's make it better. Let's not. That doesn't mean throw it out.
Well, here's a perfect example, in my opinion. Remember the bridge fell down in Baltimore a couple months ago. That boat ran into the bridge and it knocked it down. And Republicans were out saying, we're not giving them any money at all. Wait a minute. And they said it was some terrorist. It was probably immigrants. They were blaming everybody, and they were refusing to sign off on that. And that's not the first time that they've done it. Like you got Rand Paul voting no on aid for this other state and this kind of stuff. But when it comes to them, they're hands out. And I agree with what she says what Amber says is that it should be equally distributed because we are the United States of America. But there are contingents within the conservative movement that, nope, I'm going to say no to everything unless it affects me, and then I'm going to come out with my hand out asking for that. And I think that's very frustrating. It's frustrating for me as a Californian because we put more in than a lot of other states do. A lot of the more conservative states are they receive a lot more governmental benefits than they put in, which I don't have a problem with. We're one United States, but I do have a problem if California is anteing up the bill for Kentucky or West Virginia. And this is just a personal aside. There's something called the SALT taxes, which is like taxes on property.
Right.
They did the Trump tax plan. They did a bill that affects New York and California homeowners almost exclusively. So the other states voted for a law that reduces my ability to write off property taxes, because property taxes in California and New York are a lot higher than they are in Missouri or Wyoming, right? So they said, well, you can only be limited to $10,000 as opposed to the $24,000 that I actually pay. So 50 state senators voted to raise taxes on me. And we just have to sort of eat that, right? And it's sort of very, very frustrating. And I think that this is part of it, is that they have the ability to do that because they have so many senators. You have 2 senators in Wyoming, 2 senators in South Dakota, 2 senators in North Dakota. You could put 20 of those little teeny states together. They wouldn't match up what California's population is. And we only got 2.
Yeah, that's always confused me. We could have a whole, in fact, we will have another live show about that because we still have 12 days to go before the election. So we may sneak another live show in on a Tuesday or a Friday or whenever, because I really would love to get your opinion and anyone else that wants to come on the platform. I want to talk about congressmen and senators. I want to talk about term limits. I want to talk about why do we still have the Supreme Court justices never have to leave the bench. I don't understand that. It makes no sense to me. So I would really love to have a discussion with you, Warrior, and anybody else that you want to invite to the platform. So you just let me know, send me a DM with your availability before the election. I'd love to have a few more chats on things that really matter to every citizen in America, regardless of your political leanings. So let's jump into NOAA, because they don't like that either. The Christian Right, the Heritage Foundation, they're not fond of them. I don't get it. Sorry, I'm laughing because it's just so absurd to me that you would be against scientists who are trying to save lives. So the mission of NOAA is to monitor and understand the Earth's climate and weather and ocean and coasts. And these are scientists who go to much schooling, as Trump would say. They have the greatest amount of schooling. They are home to the National Hurricane Center. They are home to the Office of Marine and Aviation Operations. They are the National Weather Service. Why in the world are we messing with, like Amber says, if you don't like something about it, then okay, share what you don't like about it and let's tweak it a little, or let's work to fix it. Not everything's perfect. Nothing is always ever going to be perfect. But why do you want to completely dismantle and remove something that is so vital to Americans? Warrior?
They don't want to do that. They want to privatize it. If you look in the document, it talks about how that these services could be offered by a private service, so that you can pay to get notified that a hurricane's about to blow you up. But if you can't afford to pay it, then you're sort of shit out of luck, right? So they want to privatize NOAA. They don't want to necessarily get away with it. They're like, well, why are people giving this away for people for free? And they're like, I'm a cynic in some ways. I believe that probably got some people out there who can offer that services, and they want to be able to force people to be able to have to buy it, right? Because they do talk about, they think that it could be better served being privatized. I don't agree with that. I think it should be one of those federal things that is for the common good of humanity, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, think about it.
That's what I meant, Warrior, by get rid of it. I meant get rid of it as we know of it now. Because
Right.
I did understand that they want to privatize it. Because they were talking about, I don't remember what page that was on. It took me forever to go through this document because I just really hated all of it. So it was a tough read. But so this is what Project 2025 states. So I'll read it for you all. Americans rely on weather forecasts and warnings provided by local radio stations and colleges that are produced not by the National Weather Service, but by private companies such as AccuWeather. That's the one I was just trying to think of. So their kind of philosophy on this is that all of us are already, for the majority of us, are already relying on local radio stations and AccuWeather. So we don't really need this anymore. We don't need, they just want to get rid of anything that's run by the federal government. I think that's really what it comes down to. What do you think, Amber?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Digital Warrior, when you said it was about privatization. And when I hear that, I think of money. I think of dollars, and I think of it's the root of all evil, and it brings people
Amber,
to
the love of money is the root of all evil.
true, because God blesses us with money, and then we can bless others. So it's not the money that's the problem. You're absolutely right. Thank you for correcting me on that. But it's like our
I
prison
do remember
systems
some of my old
and
Bible studies.
I just wanted to go ahead, Amber.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, like our prison systems and even things that are run by our government, but then contracted out. Sometimes it's big money makers. So when I hear this, I'm cynical as well, and think the dollars and who's going to benefit. So why do they want to do that? Who is going to benefit from these changes, and is it nefarious or not? And I'm sorry that I think negatively about it.
The border is being controlled by private industries who do that. The prisons are being done by private people who are doing that. Crap ton of money is being paid to their billionaire class to do this to us. So yes, I'm cynical, but for real reasons. They're doing it.
Yeah, if someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. It's just
I want to throw this out to you because if you want me to do it, I can. I created a AI chat bot that has Project 2025 completely in it. So if you need me to find a particular word or phrase, just tell me what it is, and I can find it pretty quickly and give you the page reference.
Oh, that's fantastic! Wow, that's amazing.
I had it available publicly, but it got taken down by Google the other day. They're like, "Hey, you can't." I'm all, "Why? It's just what they have. It's just automatic access." But so I have access to it personally, but I can't share it with people any longer like I used to because people downloaded it and were using it.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. That's fantastic. Well, I want to give a little love to the chat because I really appreciate all of you in the chat tonight being on live with us. Replay is great. A lot of people are busy and they have to come back and see us on replay, but I really appreciate all of you that are willing to join me live. And I want to give a little love to the chat box and I've been putting up your comments as we go, because then on replay, those on replay see your comments. And I really appreciate that you're having a chat about this in the chat together. So Auntie, I don't know, put up like the news and YouTube with ads, AKA bullies, saying if you don't pay us, you'll be behind in news and information. Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, even for our storage, right? And if you have an iPhone and they only give you such a minimal amount of storage for your photos and anything you want to save. And if you don't pay them, if you added up all the money that people are trying to gouge us for all these streaming services and everything under the sun now that's relating to streaming and storage in the iClouds of up in the, the computers, whatever states everybody thinks of them as being up in the cloud, but they're not. They're in a giant server in a room somewhere under very cold conditions. And it's frustrating. Go ahead, Amber.
I just wanted to say, I have to say something because it fits right in here with Auntie I Don't Know's comment. YouTube is genius when it comes to the fact of all the political ads they're running. And unfortunately, my child sees them constantly and it causes him anxiety, even when it's children's programs. So it drives me crazy. But I have spoken to a number of people who said, I have upgraded to the YouTube without ads just because of the political ads. So great job, YouTube. You've gotten people to get rid of those ads that way by bombarding us with crap.
That's a good one. I like that. Absolutely. Whoops, that's not the one I wanted. I've tried to find the right screen. They confuse me on here sometimes with all these screens. They offer me so many different options to to put us up together, and I'm trying to find the one I want. There we go. So I have to do a shout out to my friend, who he knows who he is, who took this photo for me. Of Lake Michigan. I was at the Northwestern Wisconsin football game last weekend, and it was a beautiful, glorious fall day, and the leaves were beautiful. The Northwestern campus, if you've ever been there, is gorgeous in Evanston, Illinois, and this is the beautiful Lake Michigan shot. So I am using that as my background this week, and I'll come up with something new next week. But let me see who I want to bring up some of the other, for you guys to address some of the other comments in the chat here, if I can. Let's see here. Where did we go back? I know that Uncle, where are you, Cranky Dragon? Thank you so much for coming back. You were here last week. I really appreciate you. He's got up here, and I love your picture. And out of all the things to criticize the U.S. medical system, vaccines aren't even on the list. It's one thing we actually do very well. Good point. Good point. Let's see who else. What else we've got up here? Trying to just go back for a minute and see if anybody has anything. And please remember, chat, if you ever want to come on the platform and talk for a little bit, you don't have to be on video. You can just come on with your voice, like Warriors tonight. I was on a live show a couple nights ago with just my voice. You're always welcome. We are not trying to be famous here. We are not clout chasing. We are here to inform you and teach you about topics that matter to me, and I want them to matter to you. So that's what Social Change Warriors is all about on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And I'm really loving our political discord here. So I think I might add a night here and there, maybe once a month, where we get to talk about politics, because why not, right? That's what we're in America. We actually get to talk about politics without fear of being murdered or poisoned, like what happens in Russia. So I would be happy to have any of those of you that are in live tonight and any that watch replay on the platform with me. I can send you the link pretty easily to either a text message or an email, and you're welcome to come on with us and talk politics once a month. All right, guys, let's, oh, here's another one from Cranky Dragon. He has a lot of very profound things to say. I remember from last week. People don't believe me, but he said she declared a state of emergency during the last solar eclipse. If you wonder why they are afraid of trans people, immigrants, or whatnot, there's your answer. Very interesting.
I think he's referring to his governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cranky, but that's
yes, I thought so too. Yep, that's what I thought. Oh, don't even get me started on her. That would have to be a whole nother live stream. I was going to lose my mind when she was the press secretary. I couldn't even. I got to the point where I could no longer watch that craziness. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we will, that's some of these, again, that is a very, very lean, I'm sure she loves every single thing that's in Project 2025. That would be my guess. And she's a woman. So that really freaks me out even more. All right. Can
I comment on Cranky Dragon's comment there?
You guys comment on anything, anytime you want. Just jump in. We are not in school. You do not have to raise your hand.
All right. So the whole fear of immigrants, trans people is really not so much about fear for the people who are spouting the nonsense. It's to drive fear for their base. So they're constantly streaming fear of this, fear of that. They're coming to kill you. They're coming to get you. They're coming to steal your children. They're trying to get all this stuff to keep them constantly riled up in anger, outrage, and fear. Because fear, anger, those emotions drive their voters. They don't have any policies. They have nothing that they're trying to propose that actually helps anybody. So people are voting because of the fear that's being driven into them, and they're doing it intentionally. I think that is the most cynical of things, because over time, people who become cynical don't vote. The less people who vote makes it easier for Republicans to vote, because their base of voters are so agitated and angry all the time that they're going to turn out to vote, even if it's voting against their own interest. Perfect example: West Virginia voters hate Obamacare, but love the ACA. Has no one told them they're the same thing? Right? It's all about the propaganda that's being spewed at them nonstop. And I think that's the greatest challenge. and I'm going to leave it with this comment here, but over the last 3 or 4 months, I've been working with people that I know here in my life that I know are low propensity voters. I know they're the people who are likely not to go vote unless I stay on them. So one of them I sent a text to yesterday. I said, "Hey, I know you moved. Have you checked your registration?" He goes, "Yeah, I did change, but I don't think I'm going to vote this year because they're both idiots." And I'm like, I don't know what she's been doing, so she's my friend, so I don't want to like what I've got to change it. And I go, what do you mean? I don't even know why you're saying that. And then I said, knowing your family, I know that you benefit from SNAP benefits. I know you benefit from housing assistance. I know you benefit from overtime pay. I know all these things about you because I know you personally.
Right.
One candidate is saying they want to protect that, and the other candidate is saying that they want to get rid of all that. So, and you've got teenage daughters. What if something like this happened to that one girl in Mississippi who was sexually assaulted by a stranger and got pregnant and is unable to have the procedure to take care of it? So now she's in 7th grade as a mom. So I said those things to her, and then her comment to me was, "Oh, okay." So I made it personal to her, so that she realized that, okay, you're saying everyone's the same. I think you don't really know what you're talking about. I know your personal life, and I'm telling you that they're not the same. And if you don't vote and you lose these benefits, I know you're getting a credit for your housing because I was there when you got it. I know your kids got that $3,000 per kid child tax credit that Kamala is trying to continue. Trump wants to get rid of. I know that you benefit from overtime pay.
Mhm.
So it's getting that level of person to person conversation is important. And if I would not have reached her, she wouldn't vote. And I don't know if she's still going to vote. I don't know, but at least it's in her head now. She was definitely not going to vote. I got her and 6 other people to vote for the first time 2 elections ago. They never voted before. They're all excited about it because you got to round those people up. They're not the people who are going to show up with them. They're the people who are like, oh, I got to work. I got to take these kids. All kinds of excuses they'll make.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm encouraging people, if you know people out there, don't assume that they're voting because they know Trump's the threat. Assume that, reach out to them, talk to them, take Project 2025 and make it personal to them, right? Know enough about it to say, I know you benefit from this. I know that you're interested in climate. I know that you're interested in this. Do you realize that they're going to gut out every single climate action? The Inflation Reduction Act, which provided all these benefits, is gone. That means all those jobs. That means that your mom who's got a job at that local green company is going to lose her job. Did you think about that, right? When you're voting for Trump, he says he's going to yank it. Your mom's going to lose her job, and they're going to cut unemployment insurance, right? And that your dad, who gets he gets paid on hourly wages, is going to get cut his overtime pay. Have you thought about all those things that you're voting about? I know you hate the immigrants. I know you hate the trans people, but this is going to affect you on a personal level. So that's how I try to communicate with people, to take Project 2025 and make it real in their lives as I know it. And that's how I'm trying to help other people who are in my feed learn to communicate, because the worst thing you can do is tell somebody who's a low propensity voter that sky's falling, everything's going to break loose, because they won't believe you. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I've heard that for years. It's better to say, hey, did you know they're going to close the Department of Education? How's that going to affect you? Oh, I didn't know that. That's pretty scary. Now you're having a different conversation.
Absolutely. That was so well said. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I love the tactic that you use to be a civic minded person, to discuss voting and how it's your right as an American to vote. And if everybody sat back and said, I'm too busy, I don't care, I don't like either candidate, then we don't have a democracy. Then we might as well just chuck it and have a dictator, which, a lot of people, on the left are saying Trump wants to be a dictator. He admires dictators. I mean, mean, I think it's very clear he admires dictators. You can't really argue me on that because it's there. Like I said, he shows us who he is, and you can believe it or not, right? You can say, oh, it's for show, or it's just him being egomaniac. He's got that egomaniac side. No, he doesn't have, he's not an egomaniac, guys. He is a full-on narcissist. I have spoken to 10 social workers who are any range from psychiatric to psychologist, because of my connections to where I got my master's degree. There is not one person in the field of psychiatric care and psychology that doesn't believe that Trump is a narcissist. And when we allow a narcissist to run companies, to be presidents, to be principals of our schools, to be chiefs of police of our police departments, to be in charge of anything, there's going to be trouble, because this is not just a personality disorder. This is a heavy disease. This affects everything they do. They are completely self-absorbed with how everything makes them look, how everything makes them feel. And if you don't believe me, listen to him. Pull up his speeches. I've nauseatingly had to listen to him because I forced myself to, because I want to be educated about him. He tells you in his speeches what he's about. He's not lying. This is who he is. He has been this way his entire life. It is not a disorder that can just go away. Narcissism needs heavy duty therapy, and he has never sought it because he doesn't want to. He likes himself the way he is. And that is what any domestic violence victims or survivors, they will tell you that's what their spouse has said to them straight in their face. And in some way, shape, or form, Trump is an abuser. He abuses people that don't agree with him. God forbid you don't agree with him or praise him or tell him he's the best at this and the smartest at that and the most, the good looking, the most money, I'm the best at business. He constantly peacocks himself. So Republicans, you have to see that. You have to see that. And I'm sorry, you had a chance in the primaries. You had many decent humans that wanted to run for president. Do I agree with their policies? No. But you had some decent humans who are good humans that you could have voted in to run for president. But somehow, those of you that wanted to vote for those decent humans allowed everybody who's on this Trump is a king thing. He's running for office again. And you don't have anyone to blame but yourself because you didn't vote. So that's what we're talking about. You have to vote. Otherwise, we end up with people in office that don't belong anywhere near office. That's my rant. I was going off. There you go.
That is their objective, though. You have one side who wants less and less people to vote. That's why they're throwing hundreds of thousands of people off the rolls. You've got Georgia. Did you realize that in the 2022 or the 2020 election, that 4 people got booted? I think almost 100,000 voters. 4 people challenged up to 100,000 voters. And in Georgia, do you know how you have to because I actually called to see how it worked. I called the Fulton County Registrar of Voters, whatever that title is called, to say, okay, so assume that somebody challenged my vote in Georgia. What do I have to do? Well, this is like, I recorded. She's like, well, you've got to physically come to a hearing, right? So if someone challenges you within the 15-day period, like say you get a notice today that you've been challenged, you've got to find time in the next 10, 12 days to go to a hearing, bring all the requested information, and prove that so that you can vote. Because if you don't do those things, you're booted. If I know enough about you, like your address and maybe one other piece of identifying information, I could get you disqualified. And you wouldn't know about it until you go to vote, and you go to vote, and they say, "Hey, you've been booted from the polls." That's what they're doing right now.
I didn't know that. I can't believe that's ludicrous.
Yeah. But they're doing it in multiple states. They're doing it in multiple states. I saw a video today that added them all up. That's why they're doing this whole immigrants are voting and all this kind of stuff, so they can justify themselves to say we've booted off 100,000 voters, but they're all in the black and brown communities. They're not booting them from rural areas. They're booting them only from selective areas. They're booting them from college towns. They're booting them from minority organizations or entities, right? They're doing all these things. Virginia just got sued by the Justice Department. Thank God Merrick Garland's finally waking up. But Virginia is getting sued by the Justice Department because Glenn Youngkin at the last minute threw off, I think, 60,000 voters. And I'm throwing numbers I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was following that story. Yeah, that sounds close.
So that is part of what they're doing right now. They're right now sending all these disqualifications, and you're not going to even know about it until you go show up to vote. And then you're going to be like, I can't vote, and the hearing's passed. I can't vote. And here's
I don't understand how somebody can just take away. That's almost like guilty and proving your innocence. So you're not a voter and you have to prove you are a true voter. That just is insanity to me, that anybody could just technically throw somebody's name out there in the hat and get them disqualified to vote in our country. Like, we all have that right to vote.
Yeah, but they don't want certain people to vote. And they've got a system. I mean, if you think about Cleta Mitchell, you think about the True to Vote person, these people have got like Ziklag is a Christian organization. They say they are, but I'm with you. They're not really Christian. They're a Christian organization of wealthy people who've put in money, and they said that they're going to use AI to automate the process of voter challenges.
Mm-hmm.
That they put in money to find a way to automatically challenge Black and brown voters and student voters. And you're not going to find out about it until you show up to vote and your name's off the roll. And by that time, it's too late. And what makes it even more insidious, Mark Elias, our champion vote protector, he won't have a chance to remedy that either because they never voted. You can't challenge whether the vote is counted. They were never allowed to vote. And that's what's going on right now because of this 15-day period that's going on right now. We don't know how big it's going to be, but we do know, because of reporting by ProPublica and others, that this was Ziklag's plan. This was what's that guy with the beard that was Trump's Brad Parscale? That was his plan to create these automated process. Cleta Mitchell, to automate the process of disqualifying voters before they even know. So right now,
essentially, they're cheating, like gerrymandering. They're finding another way to cheat and not actually get the will of the American people. Lovely.
Right. And that's going on right now. Because right now there's no stories about it. Because right now people are going to the polls and finding out that they're off the list, and they're like, and the last hearing's already passed, so you can't even go remedy it. So over the next few days, we're going to start hearing reports of, I went to go vote and somebody challenged me. And you know how easy it is to find someone to challenge. Think about that. I mean, I don't want to go all conspiratorial, but this is so frustrating to me because it is so easy for them to get the information to challenge people they want. The data is already available to know where you live and the likelihood of you voting Democrat or Republican. They know that. That's how they use the whole red maps thing to identify that they're going to do these little gerrymandered things, that they're going to get this address but not that address, because they know that you're likely a Democrat, you're likely a Republican. They know all that. So now layer that on top of the ability to do this automatically. You have created this system that automatically says, anybody at this address, send this voter challenge into the Georgia Secretary of State or the Florida or the whatever. And you know who I know which states it's going to be? Because there was an effort a couple of years ago to take everybody off of, I think it was called ERIC. ERIC was the system that all the states were using to clean their vote rolls, their voting rolls. They said, okay, and it was, everybody agreed that you had to get it validated. You had someone's social security number, you had someone's driver's license. It was pretty clear. This person died, take him off the rolls. This person moved, he's no longer in Florida, take him off Florida. It was system. But there was an effort by the right-wing people to get everybody who was conservative off that system because it was so clean. And now they have no system. But guess who came up and said, hey, we can offer that service to you ourselves with a company called Eagle AI. Eagle AI is run by Cleta Mitchell, but it's being funded by Ziklag. Ziklag is Ziklag. And cranky dragon is not a German word. It is from the Bible. Ziklag is, I don't know the whole history. It's Ziklag, is the name of the organization. This is Christians who have founded this organization. And if you look at for Ziklag under ProPublica, you'll see an article. Or if you go to my profile, I wrote a couple threads about who Ziklag are. So it's very frustrating that they're doing all this in the open and they profess to be Christians. Oh my gosh. You're going to force your religion on the unbelievers? How is that Christ-like? How is that a servant leader, right? Jesus wouldn't have forced you to believe him. He wants you to do it willingly.
That's right.
I just feel like our
Absolutely.
democracy is under attack more now than ever. And
Yeah.
it's very scary to me because people don't understand we live in the United States of America and we think we're 100% free, but there's all of these things going on that we're not always made aware of that is threatening our democracy. And that is the one thing we need to stand up for more than anything, because that is the one thing that makes America amazing and one of the best countries in the entire world. We can't
Yeah.
lose that. We have to fight back. And knowledge is power. So I really appreciate that you're bringing that information and getting the word out there, because we're not always seeing that. That's not what's being portrayed to us in the media.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Warrior. That you just took me to school big time. And Cranky Dragon, thanks for your contribution. And Auntie, I had your statement up there for a while, but I really loved what you said, and I want to circle back to that. I'm having a hard time getting my tool to take me back in the chat, but
Hold on, real quick. It's Ziklag, Lag,
Ziklag. Got it.
Ziklag. And if you look for that,
Hang on, I'm going to spell it in the chat so I can put up.
Ziklag and ProPublica.
Spell that for me one more time, Warrior. Spell that one more time.
Ziklag.
Okay, wait a minute. Now it's not letting me type. I'm sorry, I'm having a technical moment here. Okay, Z I K
L A G.
Okay, lag. Got it. Okay, I just want to get that up there so it's on the screen for the replay, folks. And Auntie, I really want to talk about what you had to say a little while ago, but I just want to get through our comments that I have on the deck, because I have more questions for Warrior and I don't want to keep him here till midnight. But I really think I want to come on live next week and talk more about some of the things that we touched on that were not in my deck to touch on, because I gave Warrior and Amber permission to go rogue tonight, because I want this to be a free conversation. And I appreciate Cranky. I appreciate you and Auntie in the chat and Amber in the chat. So we may go live next week. I just have to figure out my schedule and what day we can do it and what day Warrior can do it, because I think we brought up some things that need to be expanded on, especially what you just shared with us about this Ziklag. This has got me feeling really sick to my stomach, to be totally
and I say that not to scare people, but I say it for people to understand, because it's not just Ziklag. There's multiple wealthy organizations, because you had said earlier it's the Christian right, but it's not just the Christian right. It's Opus Dei, Opus Dei. It's those people. It is the Christian Brothers out of Texas and the other ones that are funding this money, right, to overtake our courts. You have Teneo, which is Teneio, which is the next group. So Leonard Leo, I got to give him credit. That guy is brilliant. He has what they call Teneo, is this organization of the next generation of people. So, and these people get the jobs in the judgeships, they get the jobs in all this, they get the jobs in all that, so that when the Leonard Leos and the Koch brothers and all these other people who are destroying democracy now die off, there's a new wave of fascists that are up. Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, these guys are part of the Teneo group, right? That are being lifted up to take over when the older guys die off. So someone sat on high and said, we need to create a system that transcends our lifetimes, right? And I'm going to throw this out there, but to have people thinking about it when we chat again. it's not just the United States. The right wing is working with the right wing across the globe. If you hear them all talk, they're all lambasting immigrants. They're all lambasting LGBTQ community. There's a whole consistent theme they're doing, right? They do it in England or UK. They do it in Germany. They do it in France. They do it in Poland. They do it all over the place. It's a concentrated effort of the global oligarchs to wrest control. So I don't want to be all crazy. Yeah, Leonard Leo does own SCOTUS. And here's the interesting thing about that cranky dragon is that he owns SCOTUS. And if you guys follow my Twitter feed, I wrote about this today in my thread. It's I think my Twitter is Digital Warfare 1 within that. But anyhow, I wrote about it today. Is essentially
I'm going to put it up in the chat.
It's essentially more than just Leonard Leo, because Leonard Leo owns the Opus Dei faction, which is the Supreme Court. But then you have the Protestant groups of people that is more like the Ziglags and a few other organizations that are part of that. They don't realize they're being used as soldiers, right? Eventually, they're going to be like, wait a minute, we want to be in charge. And then Opus Dei says, no, we want to be in charge. So there's some potential conflicts coming up in the future between those two, because Catholics and Protestants don't always see eye to eye. Anyhow, it's bigger than what we think. And I'm in a couple groups of people in Germany, people in the UK, people in Poland, who we share information amongst ourselves so we can see some commonalities.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, so you're reaching out internationally.
Yes, because it's an international problem. These guys are not trying to screw just us. I mean, in Poland, that the Law and Justice Party was defeated, but barely. The Law and Justice Party was like our MAGA party, or like the AfD party in Germany. They were the far right, and they had a grasp on it. They were like Viktor Orban's Fidesz party. They were the hard right, and they were winning. And when you win as a hard right, you consolidate power and lock everybody else. That's what they did in Tennessee. That's what they did in Missouri. That's what they're doing in Florida. All these places to lock out potential threats. So they do this on an international scale for countries. Poland screwed up and lost, and now the new people are coming in. They're dismantling some of the things they did to try to control. But this effort is international, and that's why I work with these other people in these other countries, because I don't speak German, I don't speak Polish, I don't speak Hungarian, but they have group meetings. Steve Bannon goes to Poland, and he's like the headliner. Heritage goes to a meeting in Germany, and he's the headliner because they're all talking about how they're going to destroy their own democracies. And it's Digital Warfare 1, not an exclamation point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, you know, I don't want to throw up on people with all of it, but it's much deeper than what we think. And that's why I've sort of committed so much time to it, because it's going to transcend our lifetimes, right? To defeat this insidious effort, it's going to transcend our lifetime. So we've got to prepare the next generation to know how they're doing it. The whole indoctrination of kids, what they did at New College in Florida, you know, where they've taken over a college, where J.D. Vance just recently said that the enemy is the universities. The enemy is the universities? Really? I'm sorry, you're on mute, maybe.
That one freaked me out. I already don't like him in the first place, but I don't like him personally. Even if he wasn't running for office, I do not like him. He is a hypocrite. He's a turncoat. He will say and do anything he can to get power. He's one of the biggest hypocrites in the entire government right now, everybody, because you go back and pull some tape from him. Take your time if you want, but go back and pull tape. Go on YouTube. Go find interviews of things he said 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. Sure, people can change. People can change their minds, but no, you can tell the difference between people that are being transparent and are telling you, hey, I used to think this way, but now because of education and because I've had other people teach me, I'm kind of leaning this way now. Those are true people that really care about the country. People that only care about themselves and power and control, they will flip on a dime. They will make statements. I'm sorry, Republicans. They will make statements like Trump has made, where he has said, I will run as a Republican because they are the dumbest voting base. They don't listen to anybody else. They only watch Fox News, and they will support me, and I will have huge numbers. He said it. I'm not making this up. He said it. It's on tape. It's not fake news. Somebody didn't AI it. He actually said it. So remember, he is showing you who he is. He has all the time. That's what he does. So now where are we? I got lost. Oh, make sure that's a 1 there, guys. After at Digital Warfare, it's a 1, not an exclamation mark. I messed that up. And
Cranky Dragon says, Digital Warrior 1 is spitting facts. Love it. Because you really are. This is a lot of education, and this is going to get people to start doing some research and get out there and be more educated. Because that was crazy about an attack on the universities, because I don't understand why we don't want an educated, healthy society that benefits our entire country. Because again, the cynic in me says it's not about us, the people, it's about them and their pockets and what can they get out of it. And that's an issue. Like I said this the last stream that I was on, that I call myself, a constitutional liberal. And it sounds like it's an oxymoron, but there are places where government is supposed to be, like in education, in medical, in making sure that the society is going forward and thinking about the whole. And then there's places where government should not be, which is medical decisions. When I say medical, I mean providing medical treatment for all. So that's irritating to me when people, those are my two biggest things, is education and medical. So when they attack our education, and you know what, it's a lot easier to control people when they don't have the facts, when they don't have the education. So that kind of makes sense.
That's exactly why they do it. That's exactly why they do it. And that's why they want, that's why the Republican states are getting rid of the child labor laws. So you can go get a job at 13, 14 years old, because if you get a job, you get a little taste of that money. You're less likely to go to college because, I'm making $20 an hour. I'm living life large, right? And then you get pregnant, and you get someone pregnant. Now you get married at 18, 19, 20. Well, I don't have time to go back to college. I don't have the time to do that kind of stuff. I've got to grow a family. And that person is more likely than not to vote for Republicans. There is a coordinated
and then they'll
effort.
twist it and blame it on the immigrants coming and taking your jobs. They're giving you this fear of that has nothing to back it up. In reality, when it's our own politicians that are holding us back and keeping us down.
Well, let me ask you a question.
To interrupt there.
Let me ask you a question, Amber. Let me ask you a question, because this you got to the gist of it there. How are they able to do that, right? How are these conservative states able to destroy their own constituents and then tell them it's my fault for living in California? And they do it. How do they tell the West Virginia people? Yeah, because they have propaganda networks. They have Fox News. They have all these organizations that are nonstop lying to people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's Biden's fault. It's Kamala's fault. It's Democrats' fault. It's trans people's fault. It's gay people's fault. It's someone's fault other than your own, and people believe it because they're being told it over and over and over again. Yeah. It's the same reason why people,
you know the adage, right? If you tell someone a lie enough times, it becomes their truth. So that's classic, and it happens.
Hitler said that.
Who said that?
Hitler said that.
Was that Hitler?
Yes, Hitler said it. He's one of the people who also said it.
Crap, I didn't know that. Thanks, Warrior. I had no clue.
And he also said you could shape like a human before the age of 5 to be whatever you wanted them to be. So Hitler unfortunately took his knowledge and used it for the dark side. But there are some tokens and nuggets in there that you go, makes you stop and think.
I completely forgot that was Hitler. Thank you, Warrior. I was about to ask you who said that because I couldn't remember. There's so many quotes that float around in my brain on any given day, and I try to always remember and put them in the deck who actually said it and reference them, but I couldn't remember who said that one.
He also said it. I'm not sure if he's the original one, but he definitely said it. And I quoted something today. It says Heinrich Heine from Germany in 1821 said the following. He said, those that will burn books will eventually burn people. In 1821, that's 110 years before the Third Reich.
That's scary.
You start censoring people, you start demonizing people, it
Right.
becomes a lot easier to say they're not really people, right?
Right.
That's what's going on now. We're called vermin, we're called the enemy within, we're called all those things, and this rabid base of cultists are buying all that stuff up. And
Yeah.
and you have to stray the middle. I don't stray the middle. I am not welcoming to MAGA in any way, any capacity. They are a threat to my humanity. They're a threat to our society. So I don't give them an inch. You might be able to do that. I don't.
I don't blame the person. I blame the system, because I've met some
Okay.
really good people on both sides, and sometimes they're just stuck on one issue. And I think people can change too. So I know, I understand where you're coming from. You have no tolerance for that, and that is absolutely fine. I just know that sometimes people just aren't educated, like you're saying. So, continue to spit those facts.
And I say to you, not everybody's got that role. That's not my role. I would not do it well. I just can't do it. But there's people like you who could have that conversation. I'd be like, oh, I want to strangle this person.
Well, that's right. And that's why it takes all of us, because we all have different personalities. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. I have a lot of friends who I do believe are still going to vote for Trump, and they agree with me that he's a misogynist. They agree with me that he's probably touched women inappropriately, but for some reason, they're just so unhappy with Democrats and with Democratic policies that they're willing to go and pull the trigger on that check mark next to his name. And that bothers me, Warrior. I try to be a middle of the road person. I try very hard to listen and understand both sides. But Trump has bothered me more than any candidate. And I'm older. I've voted since I was I think my first time voting was I was 20 or 21, because I just missed my senior year. I just missed the to vote. So I was 17. So I just missed voting. So I've been voting a long time, guys. I like to listen to both sides of the aisle. I loved John McCain. I thought he was an amazing human. I didn't agree with most of his policies, but I agreed with the fact that he was always willing to be civil. And he was he going to stand around and let people defame someone that was his colleague, because regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican, you're colleagues. You work for the government. You are congressmen. You are senators. You are colleagues. So the minute that you start defaming someone with wicked words, and look what Trump has done today. Now I'm going to go off topic because I want to get to the women's rights, but today, Trump was all over Twitter defaming someone that worked for him, that supported him, because he had the audacity to tell the truth. If anybody has the audacity to tell the truth about who Trump really is, and who knows this better than we do? We only know what we get and what we see. Who knows it better than we do are all the people that have worked with him for the past 12 years and prior. So why would we not believe them? These people have nothing to gain by telling us what they really believe and how he is a threat because of who he associates with. He personally could give a crap. Trust me, people, Trump doesn't give a crap. He's a narcissist. He only cares about himself. But the people that he's aligning himself with, they do give a crap. They are the dangerous people that Warrior is warning you about. They are the constructors and the builders of Project 2025. And that is who is dangerous. Trump is not dangerous. He doesn't care. Who's dangerous is everybody that he's going to put into power, that he's going to allow in the White House. That's who's dangerous. Warrior, what do you think about that?
I couldn't have said it any better, but I don't agree. Trump is dangerous because he's dangerous in his ignorance. He's so ignorant that he'll lead us over a cliff and not know that we're falling down. He's that dangerous of ignorance is what I would clarify. But it's scary. And I just want to throw this out there for the chat as well. I've got a website called Understanding Project 2025.
Yes, you do. It's awesome. I was just about to mention it and ask you if we can bring it up somehow.
Yeah. I don't know if you can or not. I don't know how
I can. Amber can help me because she's very good at this. Understanding
Project
Project.
2025.
Yes, I was on your website, Warrior, when we first connected.
And the
So I'm
purpose
gonna-
was that the purpose for that website, it's a .com. It's all together. Understandingproject2025.com.
Okay, let me put it on there correctly.
The purpose of that website was to give myself and others, I'm always trying to empower others to do this. If you go to the bottom of the page, there's a couple places for you to get flyers that you could print out and leave everywhere, which will drive them back to this website, which has information about Project 2025. It's got summaries. It has my chat bot up there, which doesn't work any longer, but I got to figure that one out. But it's got testimonials from other lay people who are saying this is how Project 2025. It's got the ability for you to search by subject area. If you're interested in immigration, you're interested in LGBTQ or whatever, to be able to do it. It's not the best thing in the world because I'm not a web designer. It was just a way. I'm a marketer, meaning that we've got to find a way to drive people to more knowledge so they'll make the right decision. And the right decision is not to elect a fascist. A fascist will never hand over power again.
That's true. It's absolutely true. And you know, so many of Trump's prior cabinet and those that were in the White House with him for 4 years, I think 9 or 10 of them have come out now. And people that are going to vote for Trump, listen to your own party. The Republicans against Trump are in the hundreds of thousands, I think over 100,000 now. And Republicans for Kamala are in the thousands. So, you know, listen to your own party. They're trying to tell you something here. They're trying to tell you that this is not your person. But if it's your person, there's nothing I can do for you. I can only vote my conscience, my values, my ethics. That's all I can do. And I can educate you by bringing up these amazing people on my channel. A Warrior, you are fantastic. You have taken me to school tonight. I'm so excited to learn everything that I've learned. And Amber, you've had such great content tonight. I want to come back and do this again with y'all next week. And I want to wrap up tonight just defending women, because that's what I do on Wednesdays. And I will defend women till the end, because women are amazing humans. We shoulder a lot. And Project 2025 is trying to take away our rights and take us back 50, 60 years, even further. And we can't let that stand. We've come too far, and we are not going to let that stand. I do believe the women are going to vote, and they're going to come out and say enough is enough. We're not going to stand for this. And I've even heard some really good conversations with Christian women saying, yes, I'm a Christian woman. Yes, you know, yes, I go to church. Yes, I believe in these aspects of the Bible, but I also believe that women have the right to dictate what happens to their own bodies and to have a credit card in their own name. I mean, can you believe that my own mother, having 2 children and 2 jobs, could not have a credit card in her own name in 1973? That's how backward women's rights were up until 1973, 74. And they continued 75, on and on and on. It's taken us all these years of my life being an adult to finally get some credit for women and to have jobs that are equal to men and to have pay that's finally climbing equal. Still not equal. We're still underpaid, and Black and brown women are even more underpaid, and Latino women are the most underpaid. We'll have a show about that coming up after the holidays, because I'm researching and there's a lot to research, and I have some guests that I'm trying to get for you. So that's a whole nother topic. But Warrior, tell me what the pages are telling us in Project 2025 about women's rights.
You have to give me a specific question about it, and I can do it. But in general, and this is just an assumption of my part, but given who's involved in it, Claremont, the Claremont Institute, which is a bunch of misogynist men, which say it publicly. They believe that women have no role, a role only in the kitchen serving men. That's the John Eastman guy who was trying to overturn the election. That's his organization. And there's other
And in
organizations
the
that are
bedroom, don't forget that. They believe we have some rights in the bedroom and in the kitchen. That's where they want us.
that's where they want you. So I believe that, and this is a presumption. They haven't said it specifically, but well, some actually have said it specifically, that they want women not to have the right to vote.
Oh yeah, I heard it. I heard him just the other day. He was on like CNN or he was somewhere, and he point blank said women should not vote. Said it out loud.
So if you think that they'll stop with taking away a woman's right for bodily autonomy, you're fooling only yourself. You're fooling only yourself with that. They are going to go all the way, and that means it's also going to go. I think it was pretty good when we had some slaves. I think that really worked out well for us. I think now that we're rewriting history and telling people that slaves had benefits like they did in Florida with their PragerU, lying to people, saying those things. Yeah. And that's another thing. I mean, there's so many areas that when you step back and look at the assault on our democracy, you realize that it is insidious, it's pervasive, it's thorough, meaning that these guys are screwing you over here, these guys are trying to screw you over here, these guys are trying to indoctrinate your children, these guys are trying to educate you with Christian schools, these guys are trying to take away your health rights, these guys are trying to take away your Social Security, these guys are trying to take away your Medicaid, Medicare, these guys are the ones who are doing all these various things all together, all to try to screw you, to make you dependent on them so they can get cheap labor, get you pregnant young and early so you can never rise up.
Yep,
that's my conspiracy theory.
You are not wrong. It's absolutely true. And if you take a look at it state by state, what's going on, it's utterly shocking. And we're going to have a show about Florida since I live there part-time, and what DeSantis is doing to the state of Florida is criminal. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the banning of books and no conversation about Black history, which is utterly insane. I want to get to Auntie's question here. She has a question for you, Warrior. Does Project 2025 tie into Agenda 2040? Is it just benchmarks?
I don't know anything about Agenda 2040. I do know about Agenda 47, but I don't know anything about Agenda 2040. Agenda 2047 is essentially Project 25. It's Trump's version of that. They're all the same thing, but I don't know anything about Agenda 2040, so I can't speak to that.
Oh yeah,
Digital Warrior. Can I go back to the whole women's rights? And you said maybe if you ask something specific, but I do have something specific if you don't mind me asking.
Sure.
Yeah.
And something that's true to my heart. And I see a lot of these ads and I don't know what's true and what's not true, but what is it about, in vitro fertilization and assisted help with infertility and issues like that? What is that in Project 2025 attack? How are they attacking that?
Let me see. Now, there's a couple things I want to caveat that with. So there is. Can you guys still hear me, even though I'm in a different screen? You guys? Okay, good.
We can hear you. Yep.
So Project 2025 has a specific remit, meaning they're talking about the 27, 25, 27 or 29 federal agencies like the Department of Defense, the whatever. So they're only talking within those parameters. So I sort of decided it made sense to combine that with, their budget proposal. Because if you take the Republican budget proposal and you take Project 2025, that sort of tells you who they all are, right? Because Project 2025 is dealing with what is an existing government entity or agency, and budget proposal is talking about how they want to use funds to fund or not fund those agencies. So you might not see it necessarily in Project 2025, but it might overlap into their budget proposals that they propose. So let me see if I can see the word in vitro. INVITR. Hold on a sec. I wish you guys could see what I'm doing.
I know. I wish
or if they have it like IVF, sometimes they might have that in there.
All right. I'm gonna say.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to. Cranky said Agenda 47 is Trump's official platform, and it's lifted straight from P25. Thanks, Cranky. Yep, I thought so. I thought that's what you were going to say. One of you was going to type that in the chat box for us, because I love it when he and Vance get up there and say, we have nothing to do with Project 2025. We don't agree with it. It's like, please. They think we're stupid. They think we are the most stupid people on the planet. I can't even believe how they think they can get away with this, but they're getting away with it with their base, which is what it upsets me and it makes me mad. And I don't like it that they're fooling people. I don't like that. That makes me angry that there's, like you said, Amber, there's a lot of good people out there and they're just one issue voters. So they're just listening to him because that's just what they're kind of trained to do. They've trained themselves to just listen to only Republicans and never, ever let anybody else talk to them or try to debate with them or try to help them see the way that this is. And I'm not saying every platform that the Democrats have or that independents are in favor of is right or just or perfect. No, that's not true. But show me a Democrat that's trying to take away your rights. Show me a Democrat that is doing even a fourth of what these movements are doing, that have kind of aligned themselves with the Christian right. It's scary. I mean, it's terrifying. Go look at the footage again of January 6th. Go look at the footage of what happened at the university of, what was that university where that woman Heather Heil was killed because of what happened there with the protesting. Was that it wasn't University of North Carolina. Was it Chapel Hill? I think it was. I see you shaking your head, Amber. I mean, people,
I think so. That's ringing a bell.
Look at the footage. Look at the footage of KKK. They're still around. Trump's had conversations with the head of the KKK. They shouldn't even be allowed to show their scary hoods anywhere at all. They should be disbanded. But how do we do that? Because it's America, and you have your opinions, and the KKK apparently is allowed to have their opinions, even though it is completely egregious, and most of anything that they stand for is illegal and it's insane. It's absolutely insane that people still go to meetings in this day and age. That makes me mad. And we could have a whole nother show about the KKK because they are alive and well, and they have little hubs all over. They're dangerous people. They're highly dangerous people.
All right, so I have a little bit of information for you, and if I had time, let me tell you how the process works for a chatbot. You first look for specific phrase, in vitro. They didn't have that, so then I had to go a little deeper. What's the definition of life? And then I got there. So here's where I'm at now. It's talking about life from conception to natural birth. That is in the document. Talks about ethical and bioethical considerations, which is definitely going to be right at the heart of it. And then defining life and personhood, which is the essence of what they're talking about. What defines a personhood? So if we had time, I would dig deeper into the discussion of what personhood is as it relates to that, because what they say personhood means is, and that's what happened in Alabama, I believe, where they said that you had to stop in vitro because those unfertilized eggs were potential babies, and if you killed them, you were committing murder. So that discussion about personhood is definitely in the wheelhouse of this discussion of IVF.
Absolutely, Warrior. And Warrior, sorry to interrupt, but what about the Catholic Church? You cannot bury a stillborn child. No, you cannot bury a stillborn child. You cannot baptize a stillborn child. I was friends with someone who had a stillborn child. I was there in the hospital with her when it happened. It was devastating. It's one of the cruelest forms of pain ever to be put on a woman and her family is a stillborn child, perfectly healthy, perfectly beautiful, healthy for whatever, and then whatever caused the stillborn, they don't know. It's completely, medically, they still don't know. But the Catholic Church says, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, I got that. Now you know why I'm a prodigal son Christian. I just can't go back to that nonsense.
Yeah, it's really scary to me, the things that I'm hearing, because it sounds like we're going towards Handmaid's Tale,
You are. We
and
absolutely are.
and that's extremely scary for me, for women's rights, and
girls.
that's a huge issue for me. Like that touches me. So I appreciate the information, and I'll definitely be using your website.
Cranky Dragon, watch your back. I see. Thank you for telling us about that. That scares the crap out of me. But I'm sure there's some near where I live in Florida, because they're in every state. They're just hiding because they're cowards, and they only come out when they can get a whole group of them together. Because most people that are haters are cowards, and that's what they are. So it's sick. But Dragon, we have to go soon. But I want to reconvene, because so many things that were brought up tonight that were not on our bucket list, I really want to know more about. You are an amazing wealth of knowledge. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, thank you for America, for everything that you've done to put out a website, to educate people about what Project 2025 is. It's not just sound bites. It's not just memes. It's not just fake, crappy, lying political ads. It's a real document. And the people that are part of the Heritage Foundation and that wrote Project 2025, they mean business. And you better figure this out, America, because this is not a joke anymore. We're in overtime right now for democracy. Okay. Because I'm a sports fan.
Can I say something in closing?
Yes.
It's my call to action to anybody who sees this today or anyone who sees it in the future, is that if you go to my website, the understandingproject2025.com, or if you check out my profile, you'll see calls to action. For example, I've got some flyers that you could print out and hand out everyone. You don't have to say anything unless you feel comfortable. It'll drive them to the Project 2025 website. And then there's another one that I have called Vote Your Tomorrow. I think vote, and that's more catered towards younger people. It talks about climate, talks about guns, talks about climate, guns, talks about abortion rights for the younger generation. So it's more catered to that.
Fantastic. I would love to dig more into your website. I have the technology to show videos, and I think you can share your screen next time, and you can actually walk us through your website if you want to. I mean, I'm happy to do whatever makes you know into the world the best I can, and share this out with as many people as I can, because what you're doing is really, it's just fantastic.
All right, here's my final point, and I'll wrap it up in one sentence. Print some of those flyers out and hand them out everywhere.
We will.
Leave them in bathrooms, leave them on the floor, put them on car windows, do all that kind of stuff. We can't force people to vote, but we can help educate them. I am not in Wisconsin. I'm not in Florida. I'm not wherever any of you guys are.
Yeah.
So print it out. It's got contact information. Who knows? You might be the person that gets the person who helps Vice President Harris become the president with the Senate and a House, and we can fix some of this stuff. But I need all the people out there doing what they can. Right?
We will do it. We will print it out. We can hand them out at libraries. You can put it, guys, I did this a long time ago. You can put them up. You can drop, a lot of places will allow you to leave them there. Hair salons, barber shops, libraries, grocery stores. You just have to ask permission and they'll give it to you, because a lot of those places want you to leave interesting information. University campuses, you just have to go in and ask permission where you can leave them. They don't have those. Back in the day when I was a University of Wisconsin student, they had these big pillars on campus, and you could post your, whatever you wanted to post. So they don't have those anymore, because of digital, it's a digital world. So, but there's nothing like print, like a hard copy print that someone runs across or takes a look at. So you're so right, Warrior. I just wanted to write.
I went to a local community college the other day, and there was hundreds of cars. And I handed out like 100 on windshields. I'm thinking if I had more, I could have easily got another 200-300 cars. So go to your local community college website or web place and just hand them out. Talk to people or put them on the cars, and they'll decide whether or not they're going to vote. We just got to get the word out to as many people as possible. And with that, I'll be quiet.
Oh, you're great.
You're creating a lot of social change warriors. So this is perfect. Thank you, Digital Warrior.
And Auntie, you had some great stuff in the chat box tonight. Cranky, I'm definitely going to go through the chat box before I end out my stream, after I let my wonderful guests go home and go to bed, because I want to bring up some of the things that Auntie and Cranky shared next week when we go live. They had some amazing things to add to our conversation. So I will definitely write those down and bring them back up next week, and we'll talk about them, because I really want to hear Amber and Warrior's opinion on some of the really interesting things that you two were sharing in our chat tonight. I really appreciate everything. So I just want to close out with this. I want to thank Warrior. Thank you for being incredibly intelligent. Thank you for caring about our country and wanting to educate people and get them off of Fox News. And I mean, Fox News, first of all, it shouldn't be called Fox News, because it is not a news station. You need to trust me on this, people. I went to journalism school. I worked in a TV station. I've worked at a magazine, a newspaper, a radio station. I was a police officer. I've done a lot of things, okay? I wear a lot of hats. And Fox is not a news station, okay? They are there to tell you what their candidates want you to hear, and that is it. So please try to find your news anywhere else, because that's not what you're getting. You're just getting a show. Okay, that's a show. That's what it's there for, and that's all you're getting. I will breathe. I will think of solutions. I will not let my worry control me. I will not let my stress break me. I will simply breathe, and it will be okay, because I don't quit. And that's what we have to think about. This is a one day at a time thing, people. We can't let a group of mostly white men take over our country. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or a Green Party or independent. We all have to care about this. We cannot let a group of white men take over our country. That's it. That's the end of the show tonight. And thank you to everybody. There's references at the end of my deck. I'll put it on my website. All the decks will go up on my website. I've been working on it. If you need web help, Digiter, I have a girl for you. She's my sister. So we'll fix you up. We'll get you going. So everyone, have a great night for the rest of this evening. Thank you, Warrior. It's awesome to know you. I feel a great friendship has formed. Amber,
wait. Do you love me now?
I love you now, Warrior.
Inside joke.
Inside joke. So, and Amber, you're the best. Thank you. I just love your insight. I love your Christianity. I love that you're so vocal. I've never been a very vocal Christian. I never felt very comfortable sharing it out. But I appreciate that you are, and it brings me so much joy when you speak about the Lord, and you speak so sincerely, and I just love you. You're such a sincere person. Thanks to my good friend Kathy, my sister in life, Kathy, who comes to all my shows. I appreciate her so much. And all of you in the chat box, you have encouraged me now to want to add a political chat at least once or twice a month. I have to stick to my crime and corruption, guys. I'm all about crime and corruption and getting the criminals off the streets, getting the dirty cops off the police forces so the good cops can actually do their jobs, and getting the crooked politicians out of government. And on Wednesdays, I'm really about just supporting women and supporting victims of domestic violence and talking about whatever us girls want to talk about. But men, you are always welcome. If you're respectful and you respect your wives and your girlfriends and your friends, you are welcome to come. If you want to come and troll me because you're a misogynistic asshole, come on, bring it. Because I've had a lot of you in my life and I don't fall for that. Okay. So come on Wednesday and challenge me. You're welcome. Anybody's welcome. So bye everybody. We're all going to rest, and please vote. I voted today. My sticker is on my shirt. There it is. I voted. Where it is. There it is. So I voted early. Please vote early if you can, but definitely vote. That's your right. This is America. So we'll see you next week. Peace out, social change warriors. There I am. I'm not used to this big camera. I'm used to the one farther away. Take care of yourselves. Be good to yourselves. That's what you've got. Be your own best friend. Everybody. Warrior, everybody, good night. And we'll see you next week with Wednesday's Angry Bitch Club and Calling Out Corruption. And we're going to sneak in some more politics before the election for sure. And even after now, because I'm on fire now. This is great stuff. All right, everybody. Good night. Take care of yourselves. We're going to end it, and I'll see you guys in the green room.